Because when I was at a young age, my whole goal was to meet barbers because there wasn't any barbers. I don't know if you know, but I went to a beauty school first. I didn't go to a barber school is because I didn't know. That lesson itself is being able to just help people with wanting nothing in return.
And you got a very special guest, my brother, my kuya, Jayr Mallari.
Mallari. That's it. How you doing, Just?
You good? How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm excited to do this, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm nervous a little bit.
You know what? I feel like, yeah, you're nervous, but I feel like this whole process right here is very eventful, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
I look at this just like a venting off, brother to brother talk, family talk, and talk about life, talk about business, talk about whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
And for me, I personally want to thank you for joining and making it here, making the time. I know you have family, you got kids, and this just means so much for you to even be a part of this. I know we've done videos in the past.
Yeah.
And that video right there was very meaningful.
The one I just showed you?
That one, and then our very, very
the first
our very first cut for cut. I feel like that right there was so special to me just because it just looked at like, okay, I'm going somewhere with something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to just feel for it. And I feel like when you agreed upon it and I'm like, hey, it's something to look forward to, a project outside of what we do in the hair industry.
Yeah.
And this is just another branch of that tree. So, we have a lot of things going on as far as what we can talk about. The hair industry can go so far, but I feel like the real topic that I like to bring up, that we like to bring up, especially with the cameras turned on, are things outside the industry, like for what the industry needs is hearing real shit. I mean, it's hard to just put it out there. I was trying to word it, but honestly, real shit.
Yeah, it's all good.
You've been in the hair industry longer than I have, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of trends. And we're not talking about hair trends. We're talking just life.
Yeah,
life trends.
Yeah, Well, just to kind of let you know where I stand too. I think I don't know if I told you this before, but I gravitated towards you is because you kind of accepted the role, or you did accept the role to being my barber when I moved back from LA. I think it was a weird transition for me to just find a barber. I knew a lot of barbers, but at the same time, I think not only were you making it very convenient for me, but I think you were able to stay professional and stay calm. And I'm not saying that cutting my hair is like extreme or anything like that, but I think sometimes when barbers are cutting barbers, especially at an early stage, it's like, well, you can't help but to think that, well, is this barber judging what I'm doing? Is he doing this? But I had full trust in you because of, your eagerness to learn, your eagerness to grow. And Empire speaks for itself too, is that team and that professionalism that you had. And you've treated me consistent, and you've, serviced, me as a client well, and as a friend. And I think that spoke so much volume to me that I'm like, man, like whatever you want to do, I got you. And so I hope that, our continued relationships as barber brothers and friends and peers and dads, or whatever the case may be, I think, showing that you have this motivation to continue to do things only allows me to go, I want to support this and I want to continue to move. So, amongst life that happens, I think that speaks volume for me to just say, I got you, let's do it. I mean, my hope and goal is to make sure that the people that, Empire, who you represent, and even you as a brand that you represent yourself and cut for cut, like I'm just a solid regular dude that, is in the same industry as you, but life happens and we can continue to make things. And I don't necessarily think busy is always an excuse. I think everyone's going to be busy, but I think you have to make time, and you make time for things that are important to you. And this is important to me, and me being able to support you is important to me. And I'm going to continue to rock with you for as long as you do things.
Bro, just like I said, that's all that right there. You just bundled up, bro. I really appreciate everything, and I appreciate all the words that you just expressed right now. And that's all I wanted to do was, take chances. I mean, you asking me just a simple thing as far as cutting your hair. I'll be honest, I was nervous. I mean, I was super nervous. I'm like, I'm like, look, this guy is a social media guy, and I'm like, man, if I fuck him up, like, he could tell a lot of people he got a lot of following. So it was just that fact. But I was like, I got to take a chance. And I'm like, man, like, he's Filipino, we can relate.
Yeah.
And I looked at it as, this is a potential friendship for the long run. And for that to happen, and for me to accomplish that, it was just wow. Like, for me, I'm like, wow, like, I did that. I thought of him as just as a regular friend. I didn't even look at the social media aspect. At first I did.
Yeah.
Until I met you in person, I'm like, wow, man, this dude is hella cool. You know what I mean? Like, normally we don't call people like kuyas and shit. Yeah. Like, until we actually mean it. And, kuya is big bro, if nobody knows about that, but it's big bro in Tagalog. And I look up to you as a big bro, and in that industry, but as well as other things too. We talk more about life than we do talk about hair, for sure. And I like that. Yeah. Because you can only go so far about talking hair.
I know. I mean, of course, I think that's the very surfacey part when you're talking to barbers, is you're talking about hair, you're talking about blending. But I think more so, even when we do talk about hair, I think it's about learning and growing. And so it bounces back and forth, is because, to be quite honest, I learn a lot off of you. I think, again, out of a lot of the barbers that I have encountered in the past, I think you were able to just showcase that you are continuing to learn. You are, not, I think it's just cliche to just say trends that you're hopping on, but you're trying to make sure that you're before the trend, that you see it coming. And I think that's something I'd like to say I share with you, is because when you notice something happening in either another country, like you introduced me to Josh Lamanaka, you introduced me to Menspire, which is, I think that's the same kind of group, right? Yeah. But you introduced me to other people that I should follow. You didn't say you need to follow, but you're like, these are the people I'm learning off of. And I remember it clearly is when you broke your leg. Yeah, you broke your leg, and then, I went to your house to cut your hair, but you were just like, this is how I learn now, because I can't cut hair right now. I'm going to put a doll head in the middle of my apartment, and I'm going to learn off YouTube, and I'm going to continue to educate myself, because, I can't imagine what it was like at that time when you were just not mobile. Yeah. And so as a friend, I wanted to make sure we're taking care of each other, and just that simple gesture of you taking care of me and I'm taking care of you. It's not like we can say it's barter, we can say it's a transaction, but it's more than that to me. It's an authentic relationship, right? And I think I've always spoke about this in the past, about building relationships. This is like building it, there's pronouns, that what it's called? Like pronouns, like you want to restore relationships, you want to build relationships, you want to cultivate relationships, you want to, manifest a relationship. You want to use these words in order to know what you're doing with people that you're involved with. If you want to break a relationship, you know what I mean? You would want to know how to do those things, so you're not just mindlessly talking with no purpose. And I think when I met you, I knew that the purpose was to build with you, is because I knew that you're a building type of person and you are a learning type of person. So those are the people I gravitate towards, that I want to work with. Not to say that I won't work with other people, but if it's just a trend and that's all it is, it doesn't motivate me to do something, True. Of course, you're a friend, and that's what it takes is people to it's not about being on my level, it's being in a mind state of growth. And I think you've projected that for as long as I've known you. I think the first time I met you was when I'd guess, barbered at Empire. But obviously through Derek, you're just an extension of Empire in what you guys believe, and I support it fully. If I wanted to join a barbershop, to be quite honest, and I don't know if Derek ever noticed, I would have loved to be a part of that if that was the opportunity at one point. But you guys already make me feel like it's a part. So shout out to Derek, and thank you guys for always welcoming me to be a part of the things that you're doing, even though I don't necessarily have a Empire badge on my chest all the time.
No, and I wish that time that you were a special guest at the barbershop, I wish I was there.
Oh,
that one time. You were a special guest there for like 1 or 2 days.
I think it was 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. And I was super pumped. I was like, man, I wish I could be there. But to top along the lines of everything that you just said, you are who you surround yourself with. And I feel like just by looking at you as an individual, especially me learning at an early age in the industry, right? I think I met you when I was like 23 or 24. Along the lines of that, I just started barbering.
So think about that, right? That means you're 5 years old of barbering or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think we have to understand that too. Just because someone's 18, 25, if someone starts barbering when they're 30, they're, an infinite barbering. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a good thing, but you have to kind of understand when you're talking to people what stage they're at. And I just think you were mature at when I met you in terms of wanting to grow at a very high pace.
Yeah. And I was super hungry about just learning anything. Like whoever I met, I would try to get something out of them. Like, what can I use? What can I use for them? Because me from the past jobs that I worked in retail. So everything was all service.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I can like obviously improve in the skills because of my mentor that I had on my retail side. But I was like, what else can I learn from other people? But I think during that time, it was like that feeling of, I mean, you can say it, you can disagree, but it was a lot of like, if you work at a different barbershop or if you're a barber from a different, in the area or whatever, it's like, oh, don't give them any tips.
Game.
Don't give them any game, and it's like, and for you were like open arms, like feel free. And then for you to even ask me about like certain things. And I was like, damn, like, I got something to offer. I didn't even know I had something to offer. Yeah. But for you to do that, I'm like, okay, like that was like my opening to really like talk to people that was in different barbershops, to make open relationships with everybody and try to get to know everybody on a personal level. And for you, for you to even ask like about those things, it was just an eye opener. And I'm like, damn, that's just that's a good quality for a person that's been in the industry and still ask somebody that just started, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that I took that and I used that towards myself. Like, even when I'm teaching classes or if I'm helping an individual, I'm never putting myself up there. I'm always going to be like, look, let me help you, hopefully something sticks. And then along the lines, that person will do the same favor for somebody else. And it's all about the growth, the community for every person. I want everybody to win.
Yeah.
I want everybody to win because at the end of the day, we're all here to support our families.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we could be very competitive in this space, but I feel like it's better when we're all helping each other out in some way or form.
For sure. I think a lot of the time, I think that's most barbers' intentions. You know what I mean? I think that's the intention, is everybody wins, everybody wants to, but some people kind of show you who they are. And, my pastor once told me, he's like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them, and people can talk the talk and walk the walk, but then if they show you who you are, you got to believe them. You can't just always give them a benefit of doubt. But that's why I think what happens as a barber is we're able to be around so many different personalities and different people that it's not necessarily you have a good judge of character and you're judging everyone, but you're kind of understanding who you want to be around and what kind of energy you want to take on. And the more positivity happens, and those are the people you're surrounding yourselves with, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes you don't really have a choice in when you're in a public area, but I mean, now, you know, people like me and you are like, we're in a studio, so we kind of can control that space in a little bit. But just the industry in itself is like, people say they want people to win, and you want everyone to do so. And even myself, I know that I have times where I'm like, man, like, you know, how come they didn't mention me, or how come they didn't talk about me, or how come, you know, I'm not in that conversation. And that's the point where I feel like God humbles me out, is like, it's not about you, you know what I mean? And I know where my strength come from. I know where, you know, a lot of but I also know where the doubt comes from, and I know where those things come from. So when I start understanding what my feeling is telling me, I also have to understand what God is telling me. And so a lot of the times it's like God's given me a gift in order for me to share, but not for me to receive this credit. It's not about that, you know? And I think a lot of people, and even myself, can get discouraged, but I'm not going to let that stop me from teaching people and wanting to continue to reach out to barbers. Because when I was at a young age, my whole goal was to meet barbers, because there wasn't any barbers. Like when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, it's just like, is anyone else doing this? Who can I talk to about this? And then there's the salon industry, or the style industry, and things like that. I don't know if you know, but I went to a beauty school first. I didn't go to a barber school is because I didn't know. And so, you know, my mentor at the time, Alex Lago, he was just like, go to beauty school. And then, you know, he helped me guide and take steps. And I was very appreciative of that. But, you know, and then I have to be able to do the same thing. If I found out now there's a barber school, then let me tell people, if you guys want to be a barber, this is where you should go. And then that's when your brain starts going like, oh, I should open a school and I should start teaching and all these things. But there's still so much more to learn. But that lesson itself is being able to just help people with wanting nothing in return.
And that's a strong saying, because a lot of people help and they want a lot in return.
Yes. But again, I'll tell you that, like, that's something I still struggle with. So it's not like I have it all together. It's something I'm working on. And obviously it's the mental health stuff. It's your past traumas and all that stuff. But in order to reflect is something that I really, really, really take control of, is to reflect on certain things. Reflect on experiences, reflect on a day at the barbershop. Like, that is important to me. Like, when I worked with barbers, or when I work with, you know, people in the studio, it's like, at the end of the day, I have to reflect, is because I can't bring that reflection home all the time to the people who are at home, because they're not going to understand what's going on. And it's not that they don't want to, it's just, if I had a good client, a bad client, or a difficult client, or a very uplifting, it's like I'm going through all these things, and I just kind of want to, like, whew, that was nuts, and then bounce back off of other people who have those experiences, to then close that page, not chapter, but that page. And then the more and more I'm able to do that, the more and more I'm learning how to just control how I'm going to react in different places. I'm not going to be a barber while I'm shopping. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a customer. Like, stuff like that. It's not that I don't want to carry my barbering everywhere, but I want to learn how to reflect again. I think that's what it is. I've learned that from, again, being at different barbershops, like cutting, you know, different influencers, you know, doing different events. It's like, I have to take that time to reflect. And shout out to my wife, because she's the one who's helped me do that stuff, is, hey, like, you know, how was your day? It's not like, you know, it's typical to say to your barbers and other people, it's like, oh, it's cool. Like, all right, great, moving on. But no, it's like, did anything, now my wife prompts questions for me to make me think. It's like, did you cut any interesting people today? I'm like, ooh, that's a good question, right? Not, how was your day? If it's just, how was your day? It's easy, simple. Yes, no, great, good, right?
Yeah.
But when she's like, you cut any interesting day? Like, how was your day? Was it like busy? Like, man, like, my wife knows how to support me in being able to help me reflect on the day, so I can move on from that.
And nothing really clicks until you get home. And just like you said, you reflect on it. As soon as those questions come, you're like, oh, I forgot. Like, you're just so in the routine of, you know, madness that as soon as you get home, you're like, damn, I didn't even know I did this. I didn't even know I did that. Like, I didn't even know XYZ, you know? So,
And sometimes it's just the drive home where you can even reflect to yourself. But what I did in the past, call my brother. I'd be like, I did this today. And he's just like, man, that's pretty dope, because my brother's seen me do that and he's used to it. You know, he's used to me talking about my day as a barber. He may not know every ins and outs of it, but then I trust him. Even my best friend, AJ, it's like, this happened today. And he's just like, dang, like, you know, and he relates to me in so many different ways because he's a DJ, or used to be a DJ. I'm not sure if he wants me to say that, but you know, he's able to relate in some type of ways. And these are how I cultivate my friendships now, or people who I can have conversations with, and, you know, I get feedback, or I can get, you know, not really constructive criticism, but they can allow me to process things with them being a soundboard. And shoot, that's how I found my new group of friends, of people that I can do that for and they can do that for, because we're doing that all day. You know, and of course we're talking about barbering and things like that, but that's just what it is. I think if I was to give a little message to the barbers, is to make sure that you reflect on the things, the events that you go through, is because even if it's just like this podcast, right? I'll be able to reflect after this and be like, man, what did I say? Did I do something, you know, or should I say no? And then you let that go again. But it's very important for me to make sure that I reflect after every major event or even minor event about what happened.
oh man, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. To tap back on just the community in general. I know you're doing the teaching, right, at the school. You mind if we tap in on that?
Go ahead.
I mean, my question to you is, like, did it go the way that you expected? You know, I feel like, let's just rewind this a little bit. I feel like the education aspect is huge right now in the industry.
For sure.
And I feel like a lot of people put themselves on a platform to be an educator, and I think that once they reach that platform, they feel like they made it. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of people take a lot of shortcuts to get there, and they think that, oh, just because I went to so-and-so's class, that makes me an educator now. And I feel like to be a great teacher, you have to be a great listener. You know, you have to be a person that is willing to learn and be a student still, regardless. I mean, you can call yourself an educator, but a great educator is a great student. And to learn from everything. So just to ask and curious about that. I mean, like, how did, you know, does everything go as well? I know this is your Skyline.
Yeah.
Skyline Barber.
Skyline Community College. And they have I don't know, I want to say it's the first barbering program at a community college in California, but, you know, don't quote me on that. That's just what I don't know any other one. So unless you could tell me if there's another community college that's offering barbering in California, at least Northern California or Bay Area, you know, that's why I wanted to do it, is because if that opportunity was there, you know, I would want someone who has experience to teach. And, you know, it just gave me that opportunity. I mean, shout out to those people who are at Skyline. You know, I think I think people should know who Cassidy is, which is the director of the Skyline program. She dreams for the industry. And I just feel like
The hair industry.
She's the director of the department there. And for her to dream of a barbering program at the community college and make it happen, that's incredible. So shout out Cassidy. You know, I don't know if she knows this, but I really do think that she just started something new. And, you know, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. You know, there's Eli, who's the head barber instructor there, and shout out to him too, because they have a heart for students. They have a heart for barbering, but for the most part, they really, really want people to succeed. And so when I was teaching alongside of them, they helped me learn so much about myself, that although I have experience in the industry and I feel like I know what I know, that's what I'm good at, is the things that I know. But am I a good teacher? I don't know yet, I think I'm building that. And my wife is a teacher, so she also lets me know the life of a teacher. I see that daily. But what goes into that is a whole other game. So for me to call myself an educator or professor, I almost want to take that back now, because it takes years and it takes training and it takes structure, it takes discipline, it takes all of that to really call yourself a teacher, instructor, or professor. I think I almost threw that word out way too casual when I first started, but now it's like, am I willing to be a good student? And I'll put it out there. I was not a good student in high school, so why do I think I'm now a good student or a teacher now? Just because I'm a good barber? I have experience in the industry and I've done things in the barbering industry for a long time. Does that make me a good teacher? No, I'm learning how to communicate now. I'm learning how to structure. I'm learning how to create modules. I'm like currently taking a class to teach an online class, which is hybrid in a way, to teach online and also in person. And that is now allowing me to bloom as an educator, as a teacher. But for me to just go in there and say, I'm Jayr and I'm a really good teacher, no. I can probably teach at max 3 days of what I know really good. But to do it for a semester and then another semester and then a whole year,
That is
rough. It's a whole other game.
Yeah, that's
it's a beat.
whole nother game.
So, for all the educators out there, the teachers in general, the people who take the time to be and want to be a teacher, they deserve a lot more credit than they get.
Yeah.
And so for me to step into that world, to be a team member, to make sure I'm not just accomplishing what Jayr wants to accomplish, but to accomplish what the college wants to accomplish, is two different things. And so I'm learning that. And to answer your question, how did it go? It was a roller coaster. There's days that I thought it was good, and there's days that I didn't know what I was doing. But all that comes with preparation. And so if I do continue to educate, it's all about preparation. That's what I think education really, stems from, is being prepared.
Yeah.
If you're going to be prepared, if you're prepared for the lesson, if you're prepared for the week, if you're prepared for the month, I think that's just the foundation of being a teacher, is preparation.
You're fading without setting your guidelines.
That's very true, right? I think what's crazy though, now that we've been cutting for so long, I'm sure that you can do a fade without guidelines. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? You can just, if you want to, you can kind of freestyle it and show off in that sense, right?
But yeah, but just to understand what you're trying to bring up, you have to know the basics first.
Yeah.
You have to build a foundation before you get there.
Absolutely.
And that's what I mean about the educators now. I mean, I'm not down talking educators. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors that you see on Instagram and social media in general, where it's like, I can do that. And, just hearing you and your testimony, I'm learning from you. And it's a wake-up call for myself. When somebody asks me, hey, I want to take a class with you, and I'm like, oh, damn, like, me? I can teach me, but can I teach you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you going to understand what goes through my mind?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're paying me or something. It's like, I don't want you to pay me and then feel like I didn't get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think those are everything that just like roams around my head when I'm in that situation. And I'm learning as I go as well, and I'm learning from you guys. I'm a people watcher, and I I just try to soak in so much info to where I can use those things and hopefully project something, success out of it. I'm nowhere, shape, or form like where I want to be right now, skill set wise, as well as like teaching wise, education wise. I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm taking it, just like you said. Like, I'm taking certain opportunities. I'm gonna roll with it. I'm trying my best. And shout out to my wife. She's holding it down as well. She's pushing me too, just as much as your wife's pushing you. It's like she's pushing me too. And I think at the end of the day, we're dads.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's a whole different ballgame when you're dads now. Am I painting the perfect picture for my kids to look up to me and say, Dad had a good career, right? And when I was 22, I'm like, I just wanted to be the celebrity guy. I wanted to move to LA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Dream, right?
I want to move to LA. I want to cut this, that, and the other. But it's like, as my 10th year in this industry and having kids and being behind the chair, it's like thinking about, okay, like what else can I do to either fulfill my purpose? And I think that's what it is trying to find a certain purpose. Like, we can cut behind the chair all day, every day.
Yeah.
But, am I feared that, when I'm 50 years old that I can do this? Like, okay, like what did I use my time for? Did I help somebody out there? And when I start hearing those things and I'm like, man, I need to use this time wisely. I need to either help somebody or I'm just not afraid to share what I know.
In support of what you were saying in terms of your career, and I think this recently came up in my thought process within the past month, is most barbers, okay? Most, I'm not going to say every barber, but most barbers strive to, again, have an income, be a busy barber, be quote unquote that barber in the barber shop. And then, at some point they can buy whatever they want, do whatever they want, pop as many bottles as they want, buy as many shoes, and kind of cater to their desires, their quote unquote selfish needs, and use barbering as that kind of tool to get quote unquote successful or maintain a certain income to live a certain lifestyle. Okay. And then think about that, maybe doing that for like a year or two. At that point, when they they have everything, and 2 years after that, there's that sweet spot, I'm going to call it. It's that sweet spot in their career where they go, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Do I want to just be behind the chair 6 days a week, 5 days a week, or even 4 days a week at this point, at 8 hours a day, cutting the same people? Can I do that the rest of my life? And I think at that point, that sweet spot is when people either take a different direction on what they want to do, try something new, or just continue to do what they're doing, knowing that their brains are going, I don't necessarily, not to say I don't want to do this anymore, but can I do something else because I'm now in this routine of making money, having Sundays and Mondays off. But it's that sweet spot to kind of pivot, to pivot on what you want to do as a barber. And I think, I don't even think I've ever said this before, but do you still want to be the barber that hustles and grinds and makes the money? Or do you want to quote unquote now, I don't know if this is going to be right, but
hey, say it.
Or do you want to, at this point, be a professional? Like, take this and say, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. I want to be a professional at this, And I think it took me a while to kind of understand what that actually is. Are you just going to take in late clients and just call it, it's cool, it's whatever, I'm not going to charge you more, you're just my homie. But like you said, if you have kids involved, what if someone is 30 minutes late? Are you just going to say, oh, that's cool, I'll see you next time? You're creating now what? You're not necessarily creating professionalism. You're creating, you don't even have any boundaries.
Right.
You're just doing it because it feeds you money and it feeds your lifestyle. But the moment other things start to play, there's that sweet spot where you're going, am I going to take this a little bit more serious? Am I going to pay my taxes? Am I going to set time apart? Am I going to charge people for being late? Am I going to make sure that I'm dedicated to 8 o'clock and I'm going to leave at 6 o'clock? Or you're just going to stay later because you can, and you can come in earlier just because you can. When it starts becoming and affecting your life, you have to become a professional.
For sure.
And it's that sweet spot.
And my sweet spot was 2018 when my baby boy came out.
Boom. You get my point?
I do.
And so I'm not sure if people talk about it enough, is because everyone just wants to do this and be in this organized chaos of barbering. But do you know how to organize your life and prioritize the things that you want to prioritize, not just your clients? If it's just your clients, then are you even prioritizing yourself? And then you get the barber body, you know what I mean? And then you want to be a fitness guy, and then you want to do all these things, right? But it really is, you have to take control of your life. And what it takes is for you to take barbering serious as a professional. And if you don't want to do that, then you're going to continue to just, I'll do that, and I'll do that, and I'll do that. And you don't even know why you did it. You're just doing it. But usually that 4th, 5th year is you're just getting in the groove of things. You have your clientele, you have, you know what I mean? Everybody in your chair is telling you you're the best, you should open your own shop and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, do I really even know how to manage myself? Can I do this just by myself? Or do I need people to make sure that I'm talking about, is LeBron or Kobe better? Is Stephen Curry the best? Are those the conversations you want to continue to have when you're 30 and when you're 40? And you want to talk about the next shoe that's coming up, and if you're going to wait in line, if you're going to get it, if your hookup got it, like, is that the conversation you want to have? And so that there was a time in my life where I was like, dude, like, I want more for my life, and I want to treat barbering again as a profession, which I respect this industry so much that I'm going to treat it a little bit more serious than most people think. And they may think I'm doing way too much, and I'm not really. I'm actually doing less.
It's never way too much, because I was always like I said, I'm a people watcher.
Yep.
Right. And say I go somewhere, and I meet somebody and I know, okay, they make great money. And then they ask me, oh, what do you do? And then I say, oh, I'm a barber. You can instantly sense it in their eyes, like, this is not a real job. So for me, I took that as disrespect. And I'm like, look, I'm not just a person that just sits around all day, twiddling his thumbs, eating, taking lunch, cutting as I please.
Yeah.
I'm treating this like fucking work.
Straight up, yeah.
You know, how I was brought up with work was, you have to be really fucking sick in order for you to call out.
Yeah.
You have to show a doctor's note. If you ain't got a doctor's note, like, you're coming in.
Yeah.
What makes that different than what we're doing now? Right? And people will be like, oh, I'm not showing a doctor's note. Like, I just want to call out. Okay, that's cool. But you had clients today. You know what I mean?
What are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with them? Oh, I'm going to just cancel them out. Well, that's not professional. Right? That's not professional. And for me, it's like, I need to surround myself. We need to build a team that represents the brand. And I think that's what it was when we started the Empire, the Empire Barbershop. It was like, not necessarily like treating it as like a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
But just having those 9-to-5 qualities.
Yeah.
Of like, let's have a structure. Right? Like, you'll be surprised of how many people that don't like that structure. But it's like, you have that structure in life. You have that structure in life. I've had that structure throughout my whole time in my other job. So this is a piece of cake for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can understand if this is your first job and you're not seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I'm doing what I love. So if I can do what I love and treat it as professional as possible, I'm happy.
And I respect that, because you're looking at it from, again, like a job perspective, and honestly honoring the jobs that you had in the past. You know what? people, and what I've noticed and what I've kind of observed is barbers or aspiring barbers or young barbers or people even thinking about being a barber. They look at a barber and go, I think I want that lifestyle.
Mm.
I think I want to I'm looking at their Instagram and they look like they're having fun. Of course, Instagram is a highlight reel. It's all the good stuff. I think we all know that. But what it doesn't project, again, is the professionalism and the qualities that a 9 to 5 people have. You know what I mean? In terms of professionalism and being able to treat a job like it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think people kind of misunderstand that if they want this lifestyle and if they want this barbering kind of I'm my own boss kind of thing, like, how do you even know how to do that?
I feel in order for you to do that, you have to do X amount of work. You have to do X amount of hours. You have to do X amount of years to even earn those stripes to make adjustments.
Yeah.
I feel, Derek said it best. Have a 5, 10, 15 plan. Your 5 is first 5 years, grind it out. You just started. Like, why would you take days off on your first year?
Yeah.
Nobody knows you. You're going to be complaining because you're not getting anything, and it's not the shop, it's you.
Yeah.
And I took those words very, very personal, and I knew that you're right. I have nobody to blame but myself, right? I can make $500, $600 in a day, and I can go to the club and spend $500 in bottle service. And then tomorrow I have $100 in my bank account. I'm broke.
Yeah.
That's not on nobody else but me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got to eat those consequences, and I got to know I have to make wiser decisions. So using those in a work setting, I need to know, okay, can I take an hour lunch? Can I take 2 hours lunch? Am I using my time wisely? I think that's the biggest word, time. It's like, I'd rather take a 30-minute break and get out early instead of taking a 2-hour break, staying later.
In support of that, I think I want to talk about, when you're talking about, making that $500 a day, $600 a day or whatever. And especially early on in my career, it's like, okay, then you do that on a Friday, and then you go and blow it wherever you want to blow it on Friday, whether it's the club or some shoes or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
That translates to you coming to work on Saturday.
For sure.
So you're going to be tired. You're going to not give the best customer service. You're going to try to move your 8 o'clock, a 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock appointment to a later time so that you can get rest, and you're also going in broke. So now you're trying to hustle this money back. And now that's what you're treating it like again. When you keep treating this just as a hustle, then that's the outcome you're going to get, is you're going to get the hustle outcome. You're going to get the hustle clients. You're going to get the people that just want to go out all the time and understand that that's what you're trying to do too, so they'll accommodate that. But what about the person what about the single parent that tries to come in on Saturday and wants to get a haircut from you, and all they have is that 10 o'clock spot to cut their 2 kids? People don't think about that because they want to be selfish on their own time, because it's like, oh man, I just want to have fun and I want to enjoy my life. Well, that's what comes with this barber industry. If you want to be your own boss, you got to make sure you maintain that and maintain professionalism as you continue this career. And so, it was learning lessons for me. I can't just say I'm watching everyone do it and I'm doing it right. It's things that I've learned when I was a young barber. So, again, that sweet spot to know, I'm going to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it always has to be, you got to go my path, you got to go your path. It's just taking this career path a notch up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I understand what you were trying to say about that, just professionalism in general and uplifting and making it into bigger than what it is.
Yeah. I want to touch into this too, and I haven't talked about this enough.
Yeah.
is what is um what is being a barber, right? And what is being in this cosmetology and in this beauty industry world, okay? We are in the service industry,
Yes.
correct? And so as I'm going into this, it's like I'm going to make it pretty simple is where did you get your customer service experience? You did, and I know you've worked in retail.
Mm-hmm.
You've, spent time doing that. You even had a mentor in your customer service time and in your, not your customer service, but your retail time, which gained you customer service. What I noticed about people in this industry is as soon as they get the barber license, they become a quote unquote professional. And so when people come through the barber shop, they automatically think they get this token from the air that gives them this awesome customer service power that they feel like I am a professional, I can move the way I am. But to be quite honest, customer service comes from experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you go to a restaurant, a movie theater, or you go get your own service, right? And you only really can understand what customer service is, or not understand, but experience it or pay attention to it more. Let me say that. You pay attention to customer service more when you have bad customer service,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So not necessarily when you get good customer service, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to write you a review. Most people don't write the review, right? But when it's bad, most people are inclined to write that bad review and talk about how it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to challenge even myself continuously and or barbers who are probably listening is, where do you think you get your customer service from? Sometimes it can come from culture, where we're able to serve well. And I think as brothers and Filipinos, this is the way we are. I take pride in knowing that that's what my culture kind of gives us. We inherit that, is we know how to serve. But what ends up happening is a lot of people take advantage of people when they serve, and I don't know, too much. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's the right way to say it. But what I'm saying is knowing how to actually give great customer service. I don't know if that has to be a class in itself.
I think it does. I think it does. I think that from what I see, the industry, it's so saturated into the point where everybody just literally focuses only on hair.
Mm.
And then they're not really comprehending from where barbering actually came from.
Uh-huh.
Right? You're not really reading your history, but you're just looking at the now.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like music, right? People are, they're knocking on the old school music, which has good lyrics or whatever the case may be. And then now it's focused on the beats.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, you can disagree with me if you want, but
I disagree.
But it's so crazy because it's like, I do get some of those questions, right? And then they're like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm like, necessarily, like, you can give a shitty haircut, like, but if you gave great service, you're overpowering. They're going to come back because majority of the time, 70% of the time, they're coming back for you and they're not coming back for your haircuts. And I've gotten that from clients that they tell me, like, I realize I just come here for you. I don't even come here for the haircut. I mean, yeah, I come for the haircut, but like most of the time, I don't even tell you what I want. You just go in and I start talking in the chair. And that's where the service is coming from. It's like, that's what I feel like the purpose as barbers do is like, we're here to serve and we're here to help you in one way or another. Yeah, we're cutting your hair, but let me see if I can help you out in some other way as well.
Yeah.
Right? Some other way as well. And I think I overheard when we were having a conversation earlier, it's like, well, what were you saying? You were saying I don't have the answers or something like that. I forgot. We were talking.
Oh, I don't have the answers, I think.
But you're just like, I'm here as a good friend.
Oh, yeah. I think it was in terms of like talking about like, it's a very cliche or it's very common to now talk and say, oh yeah, you're like my therapist, and and clients say that all the time, and then somehow, some way, I think we do take responsibility of saying, oh yeah, I am kind of like a therapist. And then, but I'm now gravitating towards not saying that
Yeah.
is because I am not a therapist. I am just trying to be a good friend, and I'm trying to serve you well as a barber.
Yeah.
But for me to say I'm a therapist, that means I have an answer for the problem that you're going through. I'm not sure if I have that answer.
And I think that's what comes down to as well is like, yeah, they ask you because they always want to ask a question, say like, oh, what do you think? Should I do this? And it's like, look, you can't take my advice, but if you want to hear it, this is what it is.
This is what I got for
This is
you.
what I got for you.
Yeah.
And if you do it, I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen after, but
Yeah. And then, but the thing is that's the culture that brings, right? And if it's good advice and they're going to come back to you and you come back to you, and the more and more they're talking about, oh my God, I go to my barber and I just feel like a therapist. Great. I feel that. But then I don't think we should necessarily take that title,
yes. Yes.
because now that's just like saying, what if a therapist all of a sudden wants to start cutting hair the next day? And then he gives a really great haircut. Is he going to call himself a barber the next day? I don't think so.
No.
And this goes to my point with being a teacher and an educator, what we were talking about earlier. I can't call myself a teacher if I haven't educated on myself on how to be a teacher.
Mhm.
And again, it's like we think that we know what we're doing through experiences, but I'm only going to be able to teach you what I know. But what if there's a book that you have to teach? Are you just going to say disregard that book that's been made purposely for people to learn how to be a barber and teach that? Or are you just going to rely on what you know because your experience is more important than that book or the way people structure to teach? I'm not a teacher yet.
Mhm.
I'm learning to be a teacher because I want to be able to talk about my experiences on a teacher level in order for me to communicate to the people who want to learn from me that it's not just from my emotions and all the things that I just want to let out because I think everyone should hear this. If I can take time, reflect on what I've done and what I've learned and the good and the bad, then I'm able to now process and then structure and then now position myself to be prepared to teach.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But I think that all kind of flowed together because of the conversation that we're having. Is like I'm a barber and I'm proud to be a barber. But with barber, it comes a lot of responsibility. I just watched Spider-Man the other day and I feel like I'm talking like that. But that's what it is if you want to be a barber, then, make sure that you do the basics, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, yes, do the haircuts. And I think that's the very first part. Everyone falls in love with the art. Oh, this fade is good. That fade is that taper, that 2-block, that wolf cut, that all these things. And then you get so good at that. But then now you also have to think about, well, what else can I do? Like, to help me become a better barber? Is it just the haircut? Or again, is it all the other things that we've talked about previously in this conversation that will help you elevate you as a barber?
Mm-hmm. And I think that sweet spot that you were talking about earlier is when somebody asks you that question. How did you become such a successful barber? Or what were the steps? You're not going to tell them, oh, you got to cut like this. You got to cut like that. You got to cut like this. That's when it hits you and you're like, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
Right? Just like you said, you got to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I reflect, I'm like, damn, it was all about the relationships the whole time. It was all about the relationships the whole fucking time.
And I'm going to say this. If you watch my Hype Beast video, I think it was like 2011 or something, listen to it again. Because that's the same exact thing I was talking about 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But now, as I thought about all those things, and I'm like, yes, relationships, and that's what people are talking about. And I think that's awesome. Thumbs up to you barbers that are building relationships. But now, at this stage in my life, I understand it's about serving. Serving at the highest capacity.
Definitely.
That's what makes you a good barber. If you're able to serve great, and you're able to continue to I'm gonna quote this again. If you're able to understand the difference between being selfish and selfless,
Less.
that's what's gonna make you a good barber.
Or any job in general.
Absolutely.
I think any job in general. And I was talking to my client earlier, and you know, he was like, man, Justin, you should work at a car dealership. we have a business, like you can sell like crazy, I can tell. And he's like, well, like he's asking me questions, and I'm like, why are you asking me questions? Right? I'm asking that in my head. And he's like, and then I asked him afterwards. I'm like, well, you know, why are you asking me these questions? It's like, because I can tell, like, you're very, like, you're selling without selling. He's like, and it's like, what's the secret? And I was like, there is no secret. I feel like there's no secret. I think that you just have to be yourself. And if being yourself, and you know that, like, that form of yourself can imply on everybody, the job will get done.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And I'm not selling, like, I'm not talking about just selling. I'm just saying in general, just like success in general. It's just like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't try to like overly do something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just have to take a step down, be yourself, treat it like it's life, and success will happen.
Here's another bar.
Bars, baby.
And people say, okay, yeah, just be yourself. Be yourself. Well, what does that even mean, right? What does that be yourself mean? Well, I'm going to make it really simple. If you like wrestling, talk about wrestling.
I just found that out about you, bro. I didn't even know you like wrestling.
If you listen to country music, talk about country music. And if you don't like rap, don't force yourself to like rap because everyone else is listening to rap. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
Is because at that point, someone's going to ask you, why do you like that? Or
stuck.
Then you get to be yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I get to now talk about my wrestling, I'll get to talk about my journey into different genres of music.
Yeah.
I now get to talk about my interest in entrepreneurship. Not just because everyone's being an entrepreneur, it's because I actually enjoy doing other things other than barbering. Is the motivation just money? No, it's learning.
Yeah.
It's learning all these things. Is because you think about, oh man, it took us this long to learn barbering. Like, well, what else can we learn? I mean, there's a lot of things I still want to learn. I want to learn Spanish. I want to learn Tagalog. But is that at the forefront of actually what I'm doing and what I want to learn? No, it's like little goals that I want to take to make sure that I'm doing those things. For example, I do want to eventually practice Tagalog. Why? Is because if I ever go to the Philippines, I don't want to just have them just listen to me speak English all day. I want them to know that, want the native Filipinos to know that I'm trying my best to learn my culture and to communicate with you guys better. But those are the things that I want to continue to learn, and those are things I want to stress about being yourself. Is you really have to take time to think about, who am I? Mm-hmm. Why am I like this? And what do I like? What I don't like? And when you're able to say, nah, I actually like this, or nah, I think this is better, and support that answer versus just saying, oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure, I get you. Oh yeah, man, yeah, you scored 50, or green. Oh man, green is fire. What if you don't like green? Are you gonna say, I don't really like green? Well, why don't you like green? Explain it.
Yeah.
Just give a little bit of why. And no one's gonna, I don't think we're in a place that people, not to say can't accept opinions, but I think people are more afraid to express those opinions or the things that they know about themselves, because I don't want to get judged. I just want people to like me. Well, then you're just like everybody else, right?
That's true. But I don't talk about politics, though.
Yeah. But
that's a way topic.
For sure.
Way out of pocket topic.
And I just hope that even that, right? I'm not going to go into politics, but I'm saying is, do you know how to manage that conversation if you are going to talk about politics?
Yeah.
And if you're not, then say, I don't talk about politics. Sure. Don't just say, yeah, because now at that point, you're just making someone assume that you believe in something. So again, if you like something, like it. If you don't like something, don't like
Don't like it or don't bring it up.
it. Mm-hmm. Do you like falafels?
I never had. I never had a falafel.
I don't like falafels.
Why?
Tastes like grass.
Isn't it grass?
I think so. I'm just kidding. I'm just, you know what I mean? I just like, but it doesn't have to be so serious, but what I'm saying is just,
No, for sure.
yeah. And again, try it. You know, I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, and some people love it, but it's the same thing.
You know what? I do have a question. It doesn't regard any of this.
All right, let's go.
I just have a question, and I'm sure that I kind of brought it up in a sense, but I always like to ask this question: where would you be, or what career path would you have chose if it wasn't for barbering?
So to reiterate, your question is, if I wasn't barbering, what do you think I'd be doing?
Yeah.
I'd be a DJ.
No,
Yeah, proud.
damn, hey, DJ JR sounds fucking fire.
DJ Jayr. Well, that's
DJ Jayr Mallari.
Jayr Mallari. Yeah.
What would your DJ name be?
The Fly Pino.
Ooh. I do. You know what I like too when you use that name, Ferrari Mallari.
Oh, that was complete.
That was fire.
But there's a history. There's a story behind that too.
Okay.
Ferrari Murakami was a blog
Mm.
when I was in middle school, high school that my friend Rick or somebody introduced me. I want to say Ricky, but Ferrari Murakami was Kanye's barber, and Kanye's barber is named Ivan Jasper, and Ivan Jasper is the person I looked up to, is because that moment that Kanye was on the MTV Movie Awards and all those designs were in his head, that made me want to see my haircuts on TV
Yeah.
and be, come in. But anyway, Ferrari Murakami, that was his blog. And then again, I think Ferrari Mallari just flowed, right?
Yeah.
But my first, I want to say, not just inspiration, but someone who motivated me and who I wanted to mimic in my career was Ivan Jasper, because he was Kanye's barber. I'm not sure if he is now. I don't know much about what he's doing right now, but the fact that someone introduced me to his life and his lifestyle and his blog and things like that, I was like, I want to do something like that. And so that's where me, again, wanting to see my haircuts or, do that on that level, and then when I dove into understanding who Ivan Jasper was, he was a barber in Chicago, and he was fly. He knew all his stuff, he knew what he liked. He was different. He skateboarded. He dove into so many different things. And then when I met him, he was cool, man. He was cool. He accepted the fact that I fanned out for a little bit, but for the most part, man, like, that's where the Ferrari Mallari came from. But and then the Fly Pino thing, that was just me in middle school, high school, was just caring about what I dressed up as and taking what I wore serious.
Mm.
And so that's what I felt like I wanted to also be noticed by. But that all came from insecurities of me and my eczema. I wanted people not to look at my eczema. I wanted people to look at my clothes. So a lot of the things that stemmed from what if not necessarily successes, but more so who I am, came from insecurities. And so to cover those insecurities, that's why clothes are a thing. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a, history about that. But a DJ. A DJ.
You wanted to become a DJ before barbering?
Not before barbering. I think it was just,
I mean, if it wasn't for barbering.
yeah, I don't know if I would have just dove into that already, because I know that, again, it's a serious gig. But what I loved about DJing, and I learned this from my best friend, is being able to control a crowd. Not just to control a crowd, like not just sitting there and doing nothing, but they're having a fun ass time. And so you play a track and then you mix something, and then it goes to another track that just sparks a memory, and then everyone's just having fun. I love that idea.
Well, I think everything, music drives everything. Like
Mm,
it can change like
the mood.
your
Yeah.
mood in general. I mean,
Yeah.
like you could be in a super sad mood if you just play that one.
So daydream or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
I was gonna say something different, but
what were you gonna say?
I don't
What's
know. I don't
the
know.
song?
I don't know. But yeah, just to tag along with that, I mean, that's true though. You can really drive a person's emotions, and you can change that. I mean, you can make a couple's favorite song and boom, that's a memory right there.
That's it.
A lifetime memory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think still as I'm barbering I have a DJ client and you have a DJ client, but like and then now you kind of watch their lifestyle and how they do things. And man, there's some talented motherfuckers, man. They're so good. They have like a memory bank that most people don't have.
Yeah.
And then to also remember what they did and how they did it and to do it over again, to capture that same emotion from other people, that's incredible to me. And so shout out to the DJs. Like I really do appreciate the DJs, like my best friend, when he was DJing at this is another story that I'll tell. My best friend at the time, he would rock with me at the barbershop, kick it, play music during the time I was at the barbershop. And then after we were done, I would go to his gigs in SF and just watch him DJ and support him, carry his speakers and, you know what I mean? Watch him how he mixes thing and control the crowd. So I wouldn't even be dancing. I would just be watching him control a crowd, because that was amazing to me, is being able to show people a good time. And not only was it a club, it was a wedding, it was an event. And I even look at like the Warriors DJ D Sharp. Like I think he plays a huge part in like how the crowd reacts and how the players move, is because there's a little bit of control that he has to motivate this energy that needs to be presented in the arena. So think about Oracle, right? Like if he plays a slap from the Bay, right? People are going crazy. But what if he doesn't? He knows how to control a mood. So there's so many other qualities or great qualities that DJs have that, like I like. And so I take it upon myself that when people do enter my studio, I want to make sure that I'm playing music that they enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
They like wrestling music, I'm going to play wrestling music.
I'm hella just like, yeah, I didn't even know when you started flipping on Instagram and you were so juiced, you're like, they made this new belt. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, that's new WWE. I'm like, I did not know you were into wrestling, bro.
I mean, I was in it at a very young age.
Yeah.
And then when it obviously peaked to the whole NWO, like D-Generation X era, that's when everybody was watching. And then it kind of declined for me. But what's really cool is like my godson, he loves wrestling now. So he recently just had a WrestleMania party, and it just put me back into it. And I may not watch it every Monday or Thursday night or whatever the case may be, but that's what Instagram is for. You get to understand the characters, and then you get to kind of, like see the storyline, and I appreciate that stuff. And so I'm not embarrassed to say anymore.